All right, welcome back, guys. We're on to map number 2 between LW Blue and Meta Athena. Currently, Meta Athena leading 1-0 against LW Blue after having taken Oasis in a 2-1 fashion. LW Blue, individually, all their players are looking pretty good, but they are faltering, especially to Meta Athena's heavier dive composition that are coming out. They're running that 4 dive. They've got the Diva, Winston, Genji, and Tracer. Sometimes they'll just go with the triple dive along with the Pharah. And they're doing a very good job of focusing down Ana, for the most part, on the side of LW Blue, taking out the tank healer there. And then from there, just picking apart LW Blue. LW Blue did show signs of life on the second point of Oasis by pulling out a Zarya there to give them a bit more of a decisive team fight. And I think that's what they really need to go for, instead of trying to play the scrappy style and play to Meta Athena's strengths. So we'll see if they can change anything up. Numbani is a completely different map type. It's a hybrid map type, and we'll see how that plays out. But Meta Athena, I might have to give them a little bit of the advantage because they are so familiar with running quad dive setup. Numbani lends itself really well to that kind of play style, especially on the point A attack. All right, and I think it's going to be LW Blue starting off on the attacking side here. Dude, I love the Korean fans. Alright, so that's Kiki and I'm not too sure who the others are. Or the Overwatch team. They're all over there in Korea right now for the finals of Apex. Pretty jealous of them. I'm familiar with Kiki. I'm not familiar with the other two, though. Alright. And so, it is Meta Athena starting off on the defensive side here. And they're going with a more reactionary defensive setup. I really do favor it here on Numbani because teams like to run a very dive-heavy composition on attack. So you do see Alpha and Hoon picking up the Winston and the Diva respectively, so they can react to wherever LW Blue try to take this fight. They're already going for a quasi-dive on the side of LW Blue. Sebi will be picking up the Genji, and Roar will be on the Winston here, allowing some space for Flower to try and get free shots off on that. Are they gonna go for the solo? Are they gonna go for the solo heals? Is Luna not gonna switch off? I mean, this is a thing. You can definitely do it. You have the opportunity in the first push to try and catch out the defense with a triple DPS, double tank setup. I'm excited to see this. Let's go. Let's go. Now here's the thing. If Meta Athena pull the trigger way too early and Hoon and Alpha try to jump onto Sebilby and Roar, right? That opens up the opportunity for Luna to actually get onto the proper high ground and get some free damage off. They're going for it. Hell yeah. Like, theoretically, this is actually really sound. You don't need... There we go. So immediately they've jumped up, right? And they've already switched their targets now. Luna, I think they approached this incorrectly. Approached it a little bit incorrectly, I think. Luna should have been like the lone horse gone high ground while everyone else pushes in for main. Theoretically, that's the best way to approach this. There we go. They're splitting up the defense coming out from Meta Athena as they try to deal with Luna along with that Pharah. That leaves their backline support and DPS to be very vulnerable to all the DPS on the side of LW Blue. But here we go. Tactical Advisor coming out from Luna. Oh, he wasn't able to finish off that kill. Okay, misplay coming out from Luna, but it doesn't matter. Sabiobli is cleaning up himself at this point. Oh. Great job, Blair. You got 2 off that barrage. See, I'm more than okay with them actually going for this. Go for really heavy engage on the side of LW Blue and try to out DPS the sustain on the side of Meta Athena. It's not what you're used to in the meta, but it's something that can definitely work. Self-destruct, great body shot. There we go. Supports can't heal if they're getting pressured, and that's what happened to Nuss. Great job. Honestly, at this point, Nuss should have had a second nano boost, but with all that pressure being applied to him, with Roar consistently sitting on top of him and making sure he's not, not able to heal safely, also just the barrier blocking the heals, it really did stunt him. But now Luna has swapped off. They're going to play a bit more standard here. Flower picking up the McCree to switch off. Yeah, Saya player. Pretty good hit scan. Now, this is looking very similar to Quick Play, but there are things to learn from Quick Play. At this point, the payload has to go a very far distance, right? It has to go a pretty far distance. The respawn distance is far enough. If you lose a fight here, as opposed to... Hold on, let me see if I can get a better point to the map. Okay. Yeah. So from the offensive side, basically the logic behind it is, if we lose a fight here, they push to about here, or even just a little bit further to the next bend before we're able to fight again, right? If if Meta Athena try to fight here, then, and they lose the fight, they're not gonna have an opportunity to come back as a full force to contest before they get to the checkpoint. So take the fight early. If you win, well, sure enough, you've gotten another 20-30 seconds off their clock. If you lose, you'll have another opportunity to come back and fight them again. Now, another aspect of it is, if we give them all this time to push before we engage at this bend, this is a lot of time for the offense to start building up their ultimates. So it's about trying to cut the resources off from the offensive side while maximizing your opportunities to try and defend this point. So that's why the selfless strat really does work. They just unrelent pressure, fight as early as possible, just so they can put in as many opportunities to try and defend the payload as possible. Alright, Nano Boost, Libero comes out. Bad timing. Okay, he got one. Jeez, Alpha, what are you doing just sitting in their spawn? He's literally sitting in their spawn. And oh no, Roar. So you have to remember, there's an actual another exit here on Numbani. You don't have to exit through here. And let me just go back a little bit. So there's a second exit. Most people don't even know about it, but the second exit leads out into main. Basically how you would approach from the point A, right, by the bus. So all of them trickling out here, that's the incorrect way to leave this spawn when they're sitting on top of you right here by this exit. Take the other exit by main, which is I think where they're going now. No, they're just gonna try and brute force this out, but okay. Alright. As you can see, this is their second time contesting here while the payload has barely moved an inch. This is the strength of holding at a spawn if you can do it properly. Now it does punish the defenders if they lose a person. It's much easier for the offense to try and resupply their forces. And at this point, this plays fine by Alpha, just batting them around. Oh, he's about to go down though. It's about trying to stall for as long as possible. So this is what we're talking about, the strength of that defense. Even though you lose that fight, they're gonna push up. Basically about to the point where you're planning to contest them anyhow. So now take a look at the difference, right? The payload is here. The payload is right here. And that was about where LW Blue were probably going to try and... Meta Athena were going to try and engage upon them as a defense, right? If they had waited until LW Blue got here, Meta Athena would have just given up free space. They would have allowed LW Blue to build up their ultimates. And then if they lost the fight, they were going to lose that checkpoint anyhow. By taking the fight earlier on, they give themselves another opportunity. This is actually going to be a third team fight here on the streets phase. Nano's coming out from both sides. A little bit questionable as they both go onto the divas. That's weird because you don't really see team fights over in that direction often. Alright. They have two offensive ultis to use here. Man, to be able to be getting way caught out. Now the tank line is down. That's going to be easy resets for Libero. And at this point, because they really didn't... Okay, they just lost Libero. I was going to say, if they didn't lose Libero, they could have reset up for that spawn camp defense again. They really wanted to. Alright, this is the final push, but Meta Athena have so many ultimates to use. Great nano boost that time. Going on to the Diva, immediately taking out Sabiolbi there. Good job, Meta Athena. And again, a lot of this hold was basically because they held up at their spawn. By holding up at their spawn, they were able to take off about 2 minutes of LW Blue's clock there. Teams generally contest about 20-30 seconds after that payload has moved. And so, instead of waiting for them and just being the aggressors, it really paid off for them, actually putting a stop to them there in the streets phase. Really great play coming out from Meta Athena. Now if we go forward, it's going to be Meta Athena's opportunity to attack. Let's go ahead and look at the defensive lineup closer to the end there. No, let's go back. Alright, so on the side of LW Blue, on their defense, they're going with a very similar route that Meta Athena ran. Actually, this might be a mirrored composition. Trying to remember if they had the Soldier 76. They did have the 76, and they did have that Genji. So basically, mirrored defensive composition coming out from LW Blue. Meko and Rorb, of course, picking up the Diva along with the Winston. It's the reactionary tank style. And then, of course, the double DPS composition, Flower rounding out that extra dive composition for the side of LW Blue. Now, on the side of Meta Athena, haven't quite committed to anything yet. But there looks like... yeah, they're going to have the dive buddies of Winston and Diva. And so Saya player and Libero supposed to be afforded a lot of space here, trying to get free damage off. Okay. Meta Athena strats. Now they're going to wrap around up to the high ground stairs. Saya player... there we go. Once they get spotted out, though, at this point... Hoon's already dropped down to about half HP in this team fight as Roar jumps in onto the bulk of the army, and he's going to get his barrier down on them. That means Hoon's not going to be able to survive this. He's going to get demeched really quickly. I think it was just because of the approach that the Diva had made. I don't know why he didn't stick with the team there. Yeah, why didn't he stick with the team? I think that was a misplay by Hoon. That was interesting. You're not allowed to allow your tanks to dive by themselves. Hoon going up to the high ground before Alpha was ready to help him out was probably the big mistake that Meta Athena made on that push. Now this time they're trying to do it again. Now they're making that same mistake so far. Alpha jumping in by himself. You need both Alpha and Hoon on the Winston and Diva respectively to jump in together. Yeah, Meta Athena are just approaching this wrong on a basic level. This is very uncharacteristic of them. So now Saya player switching off. He's got the McCree. Or he has swapped off. Yeah, Dragon Blade. Libera though does get the kill. Oh, nice. Again, it just seems like Meta Athena don't know how their composition is supposed to work. Alpha and Hoon jump on the same targets. Saya player just gets free damage off. Libero also with that. He was Pharah, but now he swapped off to Tracer. No, he's going Genji now. So at this point, this is where they should definitely dive in together, but it might be a little bit too late, as none of those three have an ultimate to work with. I don't know if they're going to buy Saya player enough space to actually try and get a Deadeye off. Yeah, there's the Deadeye. But he has to be careful now. Too little too late. Honestly feel like Meta Athena just kind of blew that. Like, it's fine if your Diva, for the most part, is sitting on your supports and keeping them safe. But when Roar is jumping on top of them, the Winston dropping his bubble and isn't able to heal your other dive tank, they fall immediately. Great sound barrier. Libera's basically done for here. GG. LW Blue. LW Blue did a great job focus firing their targets, not getting confused by the unorthodox offense coming out from Meta Athena. But Meta Athena on their execution did not look the greatest. So, that's map number 2. It's going to be all tied up 1-1 between LW Blue and Meta Athena. Stay tuned for map number 3, guys.